Wife sent her husband to jail for this shocking reason. Let's find out together. Hey guys, welcome to today's amazing movie that will keep you at the edge of your seat. But before we dive in, don't rush, grab a snack to stay focused, and make sure you hit the subscribe button for more amazing movies from us. This movie begins with a couple, Mr. Sean and Mrs. Wendy Balogun, celebrating their one-year wedding anniversary. Both of them are barristers. Mrs. Balogun was so excited that her husband remembered the date. During their celebration, she brought up an old incident that happened just days before their wedding. Sean had cheated on her with his ex because he was drunk. She laughed it off playfully as they enjoyed the evening together. That night, in their bedroom, Mr. Balogun complimented his wife and told her about a big victory he had just won for his client in court. Mrs. Balogun then informed him that her sister would be staying with them for a while due to a school strike, and he agreed. Days later, Mr. Balogun advised his wife to take things easy at work, but she refused. She wanted to ensure that her client, a rape victim, got the justice she deserved. That night, Mr. Balogun surprised his wife with a small celebration for the case she had just won. He praised her highly because she had never lost a single case in court. The next morning, while Mr. Balogun prepared breakfast, his wife was full of joy and admiration for how caring he was. She reminded him that her sister would be joining them next month. A few days later, while the couple was having a meal, they discussed the upcoming NBA conference in Abuja, which all lawyers in Nigeria were required to attend for 3 days. They laughed and talked excitedly about it. The next day, Mrs. Balogun began packing their things for the trip. Her husband suggested they stay in Abuja for a week, but she refused, saying she had other things to attend to. Sean told her he might stay for 1 or 2 extra days after the conference, and she agreed. At the conference, before the event began, the couple was shocked to see Areti, Sean's ex-girlfriend. They exchanged greetings politely and went their separate ways. After the conference, while driving home, Mrs. Balogun was unusually quiet. She noticed the way Areti looked at Sean and could tell his ex still had feelings for him. Because of this, Wendy insisted they return home together, not trusting Areti one bit. That evening, Areti got home looking disturbed. Her friend Erica, who seemed to guess what had happened, teased her and told her to talk when she was ready. Later that night, Areti visited Erica, who was busy trading Forex, and opened up about meeting Sean and his wife, the famous Wendy Balogun. She reminisced about the good times she had with Sean back in law school before he met Wendy. Erica teased her again, reminding her of the night she and Sean had an affair. Areti left quietly afterward. One day, Wendy opened the door for her younger sister, Phoebe, who arrived full of excitement. Phoebe hugged her sister warmly, greeted Sean politely, and went to her room with Wendy. Later that night, while Sean and Wendy were enjoying a romantic moment, he expressed how much he would miss her when she left for her trip. Wendy joked that Phoebe would take care of him while she was away. Phoebe suddenly appeared, smiled, and then went to her room, leaving them to enjoy their night. The next day, Phoebe welcomed Sean from work and insisted on carrying his bag. He complimented her smooth skin and playfully advised her to exfoliate less. Later that day, Phoebe entered Sean's room without knocking. He was half naked and quickly covered up. She apologized and told him dinner was ready. Sean thanked her for her effort and she left. That evening, while they were having dinner together, Phoebe asked why he hadn't complimented her food. Sean smiled and praised her cooking with sweet words. Phoebe then started feeding him playfully. The next day, Sean returned home with some gifts for Phoebe. She was thrilled. He once again commented on her soft skin, and she said it was natural. She tried on the outfits he bought, and he told her how beautiful they looked on her, especially one he asked her to wear for the rest of the day. Then he went to take a shower. Later that night, Phoebe was on a call with Wendy. She told her sister how she'd been taking care of her husband and how thoughtful Sean was with his shopping. Wendy was surprised and told her she'd be coming home a day earlier than planned, but not to tell her husband because she wanted it to be a surprise. On this particular day, Phoebe was in her room when Sean came to check on her. He suggested they watch a movie together. He carried her to the living room and chose a romantic film. Phoebe leaned on his shoulder as the movie played. But what happened next in that living room will shock you to your core. Could Phoebe's closeness destroy everything Wendy had built? That same evening, Sean dressed up and left the house. Moments later, Wendy arrived home only to find her sister, Phoebe, on the floor in tears. Shocked, she rushed to her. Phoebe, still crying, told Wendy that Sean had forced himself on her even after she refused. Wendy couldn't believe it at first. She thought it was a prank. But Phoebe was serious. Wendy comforted her, trying to make sense of everything. When Sean returned home, Wendy confronted him angrily, accusing him of raping her sister. Sean thought she was joking, but she meant every word. Confused and defensive, Sean stormed into Phoebe's room, insisting he hadn't touched her. He raised his voice, but Wendy stopped him, saying it wouldn't change anything because her sister was already traumatized. Suddenly, Phoebe fainted. They rushed her to the hospital. After some time, the doctor confirmed that Phoebe had indeed been forcefully penetrated and that they had taken medical steps to prevent further complications. Wendy was devastated. She couldn't believe Sean, the man she trusted, could do such a thing. Later that night, she went out for a drive to clear her head. But wait, could Sean really have taken advantage of Phoebe? Or is Phoebe hiding something? If you were in Wendy's shoes, who would you believe, your husband or your sister? The next morning, Wendy told Sean about the doctor's report and how serious the situation was. Sean maintained his innocence, pleading with his wife to believe him. But because of his past affair with his ex, Wendy didn't. She warned him that if anything happened to her sister, she would make sure he paid dearly for it. Later that day, Wendy's mother visited and began calling Sean names in front of his parents. Sean's parents defended him, insisting that their son was innocent. Later, Wendy's mother met privately with her daughter, urging her to believe Phoebe and to use every available piece of evidence against Sean. Meanwhile, Sean sat in the living room with his parents, frustrated. They asked him if he really did what he was accused of, but he swore he didn't. He left the house to clear his mind. That evening, Sean went to a bar, clearly troubled and a bit drunk. Coincidentally, he ran into his ex, EKENE, who was with her friend Erica. They exchanged greetings, and Sean admitted he just needed space to think. EKENE took his number in case he needed to talk, and they left. Back at the hospital, Phoebe was still in pain. She expressed her anger and disbelief that her brother-in-law could do such a thing, demanding justice from her sister, the same woman who had never lost a single case in court. That night, EKENE and Erica got home. Erica mentioned that Sean didn't look like himself, saying she felt he was drowning emotionally. EKENE brushed it off, saying maybe it was just stress. The next day, both families were still discussing the case. Sean maintained his innocence, but Wendy had heard enough. She believed her sister. To her, Sean's constant denial was proof that he was lying. Without listening further, she walked away from him in disappointment. Wendy later filed a legal case against her husband. She knew the implications but was ready to defend her sister at all costs. She no longer saw Sean as her husband, only as a man who had betrayed her family. Even when advised to think things through, Wendy refused to change her mind and pressed full charges against him. The following day, a detective summoned Sean to report to the police station regarding the allegations filed by his wife. Furious, he went to confront Wendy, but she stood her ground. The medical report seemed to support Phoebe's story. Wendy made it clear she didn't believe a word Sean said. Sean, hurt and speechless, finally said, "We'll see in court," and walked away. Guys, what's about to happen next will leave you speechless. The next afternoon, EKENE and Erica were having lunch when they saw a viral post online accusing Sean of being a rapist. EKENE was shocked to see that Wendy, his own wife, would be standing against him in court to defend her sister. That evening, EKENE called Sean, who was at the same bar, to check on him. When she arrived, he was already drunk. He welcomed her and tried to explain the situation. EKENE, who didn't believe the rumors, pressed him to tell her the truth. Sean opened up about everything and how his wife refused to believe him. EKENE offered to defend him in court, but Sean insisted on representing himself. She persisted, saying it would be hard for him to face the woman he loved in court, and that he would surely lose if he did. After much convincing, Sean finally agreed to let her help. Days later, Sean asked Wendy why she had suddenly changed, how she could switch from loving him to treating him like an enemy. Wendy replied coldly that she wasn't pretending. She was simply protecting her family, even if it meant facing her husband in court. Meanwhile, Sean and Ireti began preparing their evidence and studying the case details. Erica complimented their teamwork and left them to it. Sean pointed out possible strategies Wendy might use against them, and they worked carefully to counter them. Finally, the court day arrived. The prosecutor and defense counsel presented their opening arguments. The judge had to caution them to remain professional, as emotions were running high. After listening to the testimonies, the judge announced, "The court stands adjourned till the 14th of February," and then left. Back at the house, Sean sounded like a man who had already lost hope. He knew how powerful and persuasive Wendy was in court. But Ireti encouraged him to stay strong, telling him not to give up because the truth would surely come out one day. Weeks later, things grew colder between Wendy and Sean. They hardly spoke, and their love completely faded. Wendy refused to share the same bed with him, saying she could never sleep beside a man like him. On February 14th, at the court, Ireti began presenting evidence about Phoebe's past. She revealed that Phoebe once tried to seduce her lecturer in school just to pass a course and was suspended for it. The revelation shook everyone. At one point, Wendy and Ireti began exchanging harsh words in court, forcing the judge to call them to order. The judge then announced a brief recess for 2 hours before reconvening for final submissions. When the media tried to interview Sean, Ireti quickly shielded him away from them. They also tried to speak to Phoebe, but she said nothing. Sean thanked Ireti for all her help, but told her he wanted to defend himself in court. He explained that he knew Wendy's tactics better than anyone else. Ireti disagreed, but eventually respected his decision. When court resumed hours later, Wendy began interrogating her husband about his past infidelity, trying to prove he had a pattern of cheating. The argument between both counsels got so heated that the judge gave them a serious warning and adjourned the case for another 72 hours. Later, Wendy scolded her sister for hiding her past suspension from school. She reminded Phoebe that she had risked everything, her marriage, her career, and her reputation to protect her. Phoebe swore before her sister that Sean had indeed forced himself on her. Wendy walked away in anger and pain. Guys, something feels off here. Do you really think Sean took advantage of Phoebe? Or is there a deeper secret waiting to explode? Who will win this battle in court? Wendy, the undefeated legend, or Sean, the man fighting for his life? Let's find out. That night, Phoebe came to her sister's room, crying for forgiveness. She admitted that what she did back in school was a childish mistake and never thought it would come back to haunt her. Wendy forgave her, and their bond seemed to heal again. Moments later, Sean came home, and Wendy confronted him about spending too much time with Ireti. Sean explained that he had decided to represent himself in court. Wendy reminded him that she had never lost a case, but Sean wasn't intimidated. Wendy, however, vowed that justice must be served, and she walked away. Days later, in the courtroom, Sean stood up to defend himself. He called Phoebe to the witness stand and explained how she had always shown interest in him and how he had tried to avoid her. After both sides made their final statements, the judge gave the verdict. Sean was found guilty of rape and sentenced to 6 years in prison. Ireti went home that day in tears, feeling like she had failed him. Her friend Erica comforted her and encouraged her to keep fighting for the truth if she truly believed Sean was innocent. Meanwhile, Wendy was heartbroken. Even though she was the one who sent her husband to jail, she couldn't stop crying. Her mother comforted her, praising her for doing the right thing, though she was surprised that Wendy still wished she could stay married to Sean after everything. 3 years later, Wendy received a notification on her phone. It was their 4th wedding anniversary. She sighed deeply. Though she still missed Sean, she reminded herself that he was paying for what he did, or so she thought. Days later, Wendy was at work when she received a call that Phoebe had just completed her NYSC. Excited, she went home to celebrate with her sister. Not long after, Ireti received a call from her friend Erica, who was feeling very ill. She rushed her to the hospital and was shocked when she spotted Phoebe there, speaking urgently with a doctor. Curious, Ireti followed them quietly and secretly recorded their conversation. In the video, Phoebe was heard blackmailing the doctor, demanding $700,000 within 48 hours, or she would expose his nude photos. The doctor begged her to stop, but she walked away. EKENE was stunned. Meanwhile, back at home, Phoebe was showing Wendy pictures from her NYSC. When Phoebe went to use the restroom, Wendy picked her phone and saw a message from the doctor that said, "Your blackmailing is getting too much." Shocked, Wendy confronted her sister when she returned, asking about the doctor's message and the nude pictures on her phone. Phoebe stood frozen, too scared to speak. The next day, Wendy went to the hospital to meet the doctor personally. The doctor confessed everything. He admitted that Phoebe had manipulated him after he conducted her medical test years ago. She had demanded his nude photos before agreeing to anything, and since then, she had been blackmailing him. Then he revealed the most shocking part. He had faked the hospital report against Sean under Phoebe's pressure. All the accusations were lies. Wendy was shattered beyond words. What will Wendy do now, knowing she destroyed her husband's life with her own hands? That evening, Wendy called Phoebe for a private talk. When confronted, Phoebe broke down in tears. She admitted everything, that Sean never touched her, that she lied because he rejected her advances, and that she framed him out of jealousy and shame. Wendy was speechless. She realized she had ruined her husband's life for a crime he never committed. Sean had already spent 3 long years in prison, all because of a lie. What a tragedy when truth comes too late. Later that day, Erica got home from the hospital because of the important information she wanted to share with EKENE, the video recording of the conversation between the doctor and Wendy, which she took when she heard some noise outside her room. EKENE was excited because she believed Sean would be free soon if his family rehired her as their lawyer. She was confident and convinced that victory was near. Days later, Wendy was surprised to see that Sean had been released from prison. When he got home, he went straight to his room. Wendy welcomed him, but soon began to have flashbacks of the beautiful moments they once shared together. The next morning, Wendy prepared breakfast for her husband and asked for forgiveness, but Sean told her not to waste her time and advised her to focus on her sister's trial, which was coming up the next day, for making an innocent man spend 3 years in prison. Later that day, Wendy went to her husband again, pleading for forgiveness. But he handed her divorce papers, telling her she never truly loved him. He made her understand that she would have to live with the consequences of her actions and her doubts. Then he took off his wedding ring and walked away. Days later, Wendy packed her things to leave Sean's house. Her mother came in, worried because Wendy was being sent to prison, and begged her to speak to Sean to help her situation. But Wendy told her mother that they were no longer together because he had divorced her. She said, "The same way you judge others is the same way you will be judged." Then Wendy left. Months later, Sean organized a small surprise to appreciate EKENE for standing by him throughout the court case. They enjoyed the beautiful moment together. The moral lesson of this movie is, never be quick to judge the people you love without knowing the full truth. Doubt and false accusations can destroy relationships faster than betrayal. Always seek the truth before taking sides, because once trust is broken, forgiveness may never heal the wound completely. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts in the comment section. Also, do well to subscribe for more fascinating movies from us. Till we meet again, bye.